What if I told you world leaders may be more evil than you think?
Given what we know nothing.
And does the study of them and past leaders expose a deeper evil, perhaps helped along by a secret second White House?
I am so scared right now, and that's just a fact.
And perhaps does it expose evil behind every country and even city across international lines?
There is evil both here and afoot, and there's only one answer: revolution.
To really study evil, we have to look at where it may have originated. So first, let's take a look at the United States during its formation.
Now, we all know the story of our fit young patriot riding through Lexington on a now since tamed horse yelling, "The British are coming!" Now that's fun, but should we really believe it? Or should we not?
There are things to believe about anything. Everything's true in some way, but this is a different case. So at first, we thought he might have said the British are coming, but we wanted to find out if he actually did. So my team used artificial intelligence, as well as our own, to analyze these paintings from the 1700s, to actually read Paul Revere's lips. We fed it these paintings of Revere that were consolidated into 3 frames of digital video of him speaking. Do you understand this?
Yes.
After thousands of hours of machine learning, we found he never actually yelled, "The British are coming." What he did yell was very strange, shocking, confusing, and worst of all, evil! The evil! That's what Paul Revere was saying the whole time! But don't get confused. The British were definitely coming.
Now let's turn to the year 59 AD. On May 17th, a blacksmith by the name of Anthony Toipus in the ancient city of Mioipi was having a massive birthday party with all his friends.
Now, Mioipi was a really old city in Rome, and it was just an awesome place. It was the birthplace of the piñata. At first, they only did it to prisoners for fun, until they realized it was really fun, and they started doing it at birthday parties.
Looking at a map of Eurasia and Africa, and factoring in various forms of evidence like general first impressions, it appears that all the first cities on Earth except Mioipi apparently arose after this critical event, apparently relating to evil of this blacksmith's birthday party. This also means that Mioipi was likely the first city on Earth.
Perplexing? Not really. There is very little evidence of civilization before this point. Factoring in our exponential progress, I believe before Mioipi, humans lived alone, kilometers apart. And perhaps they started screaming from their sadness, and then they found each other. From then on, they only screamed when they were fighting or giving birth, the opposite of being alone.
After meeting up, they thought of buildings and culture. The Mioipians had a very beautiful culture. This is their flag. It's a picture of all of them. So anyway, Anthony the blacksmith had a lot of friends who were construction guys, which is weird, but I get it. First question, OSHA didn't exist yet, and no one was forklift certified. So how did they move anything?
All the construction guys left for Anthony's party, so all the raw, unbaked concrete was left alone.
Let me lay this out for you. When do you want to do evil? When no one is looking. And let me ask you this. Were there people in Mioipi that wanted to do evil at the time? Obviously. And riddle me this. Are there materials on Earth that make you feel weird and evil? Yeah. Put 3 and 3 together.
We are partly certain that while they were busy with Anthony, some evil boys mixed material called evilite that stimulates the evil hormone into the unset concrete at construction sites. Because of this certain event, evil made its way into Mioipi itself. And hey, we don't know if this happened, but if it did, we know it happened.
Fast forward to the current day. 83% of the American population currently resides in cities, but are they really all that happy about it?
The city makes me stressed. I'd much rather lay around all day and eat lasagna. That's Jim Davis, the author of Garfield. Cities are not good for anyone who lives in them, and I don't see why anyone would.
I lived in a city once. It changed me. Have you ever seen the movie Home Alone 2 Lots in New York? It was like that every day.
For one, there have actually been numerous reports of city people getting sucked into their shower drains.
Sucked right in! What the f*** is that about? I mean, seriously?
I haven't showered since I heard about that.
Think about traffic, horrible. Think about gangs, dangerous. Think about stink, gross. Think about taxes, theft. Cities are a scientifically negative phenomenon, an insane exaggeration of our most negative traits, a lie sold to us by those bastards on top. We should not get sucked into their silly little lie. Credit the Federal Reserve writes it's all a joke.
It's all clear to see. Cities are vile, cities are evil.
So Paul Revere yelling evil during the start of the Revolutionary War. The first city on Earth becoming evil. Modern cities' evil features. What is the connection between all of these?
This is the crazy part of all this. About Mioipi, after about 8 years of evilite constituting the city, we start to see the effects. We can actually look at the journal of a city official. When translated, one entry reads, "It's April 1st, 67. Distrust is baked into the streets. I can't explain it, but the city is being built in a way that just feels evil. In fact, I'm starting to feel evil myself. I've been a bad, bad boy. Things are falling apart quickly. I'm not sure Mioipi will last much longer."
I like to think I would not be evil if I lived in Mioipi with those evil-causing materials like evilite. But we all know I would. Sometimes I dream about what I would do if I was in Mioipi during that period.
Over several years, as the evil grew, the Mioipians began to stop caring for themselves, the greatest evil of all. We've read Mioipian medical reports of a lack of cleanliness, leading to the arcane massive spreading of a rare bacteria, causing millions to die. I actually have a sample of that bacteria here today, and I will demonstrate its behavior.
Still, with their population mauled and devastated, worse was yet to come.
Based on eyewitness reports, as the city started to become evil in its structure, its materials, and its people, the entire system thereon became corrupt. People were just being rude. Bad blokes took over, and the average bloke just went with it. Reminds me of today.
After only 12 years of rule by a corrupt government, a massive disaster took place. But not just any disaster, listen to this. In the same way the corruption shifted everything that Mioipi was and stood for, the new regime shifted the letters in the name Mioipi to become Pompeii.
Mioipi is Pompeii! I never could have seen that coming!
Right on schedule, disaster struck. The evil had been mounting up so much that something had to happen, and it did. Mount Vesuvius erupted in the year 79 and destroyed the city.
Biologically, these people never could have survived it, and they melted. Also, this must be the only reason evilite is not on the periodic table as we hoped it would be. It was all destroyed. But I have some.
Unfortunately, blueprints of the evil city structures and documents of government constitution probably remained, as they were likely kept near other volcanoes to keep them safe, which is what I would do.
With Mioipi, really Pompeii, being the first city on Earth, every other society likely wanted to model their city after it. England, France, and the rest. But remember, this evil structure was the inspiration, and therefore their final rest.
It all makes sense. Cities suck because of Pompeii.
But what does this have to do with the Revolutionary War in the US?
Much of the US is modeled after Roman cities like Pompeii, most notably their architecture and government. Sound familiar? Those are the very things that were evil in those cities. It's fact.
Rome fell, so why would well-meaning founding fathers want to make the US like Rome? With that, we believe Paul Revere knew something when he yelled evil, as portrayed clearly in those paintings. Important men at that time always knew what they were talking about. Each time.
Was Paul Revere an actual fly on the wall? Probably not. But he may have been a figurative one in the early discussions among the founding fathers. Is the evil modern city rooted in this beginning of the country?
Well, that's a good question, with an even better answer.
Let me show you something. After minimal research, we found something strange about this original painting of the Founding Fathers signing the Declaration of Independence. If you just look at the painting and digitally zoom out, there were more people present at this meeting than that we're often told.
I believe that all the Founding Fathers were real go-getters, but the only thing that makes sense is that there was an evil fake founder among them, given what we know about other aspects of the American government. Looking at the real version of this painting, I have my suspicions, but I'm not totally sure who the evil one is.
Is there further evidence of nefarious dealings being dealt in the early formation of the United States?
Have you ever taken a solid look at a scan of the actual US Constitution? Zoom in. Harder. Do you see what I see? There seem to be more words, but words that look more faint.
While we can't necessarily make these words out, we think they're written on the back of the Constitution. The fact that they're there is wildly concerning, but also enlightening and exciting.
What if it connects to the evil presence likely shown in the painting? Well, we accept this as a fact. And given these facts, we call the writing on the back of the Constitution the underlaws, symbolically hidden.
We think that evil presence wrote the underlaws, but think about it. What would actually be written in these laws? Well, crimes, but crimes of a different kind. We think, neatly in accordance with our rule of law, it was making horrible things completely legal, and that there is a whole world we don't know about, another level.
The White House has stood as a symbol of freedom and democracy for some reason. But remember, something happened to that symbol.
Remember? The Redcoats did the most evil thing in the War of 1812. They burned the White House, which set it on fire.
But is that really what happened?
What if burning down the White House was not the result of a war effort, but the result of a team effort by a united force? The opposite of a war effort.
And what if the burning of the White House was a hint, a taunting by an evil force under everything the United States is? And that hint could lie in what fire does.
Based on fire studies, fire tends to make things darker.
But what could this be telling us? Why would darkness and the White House mean anything when put together?
We have here a speech by President Bill Clinton. But really quickly, let me play it backwards for you.
My wife's a bitch. I hate her. I want to blow up the whole country.
Also, remember when JFK died? He was so cool, and the CIA killed him. And don't even get me started on what happened to Trump.
So look at that. When presidents are evil, they roam free to the public eye. When they do good for the country, they get killed or impeached. A little too convenient, you might say.
There's only one way you can really put all of this together. The burning of the White House was a hint by an underground evil political organization that they are calling the shots. Literally, from a residence and workplace mirroring that of the White House, completely legally because of the underlaws. And we believe they're working from what we call the Dark House.
I am so scared right now, and that's just a fact. But the thing is, that's exactly what they want.
As far as the actual physics of this evil dark house, we're unsure of where exactly it is. Some in our community believe it's just underneath or maybe behind the White House, which is reasonable, but I personally believe it's in some other plane of reality inaccessible to modern humans, the extreme reality plane.
But what is the point of the Dark House? What really goes on inside?
Have you ever noticed that every presidential funeral is a closed casket ceremony? And look at Lincoln's assassination! The bullet misses!
And you ever notice how much presidents age in office? This is Lincoln at the beginning and at the end of his presidency. And just look at his filthy little smirk. He knows something. Think about it.
So, what is it that happens to these presidents when they assume office? Which, by the way, is surely gifted to them by the evil Dark House. Are we just gonna assume those figureheads have no idea?
What if these presidents take the power given to them and that the secret Dark House lets them in on their little secret? And we already know they have evil powers. I bet my life on the fact that they extend evil invitations to these presidents to join the Dark House. They do it during the presidency and until eternity after the presidency is over. And I believe that if this invitation is rejected, the Dark House turns their lights out.
It all makes sense. JFK was just too good, Too awesome to accept the invitation of the Dark House, and so they killed him. Of course, the FBI, CIA, these decentralized powers are actually the Dark House. There's no way these agencies aren't a result of the underlaws. They're so sneaky, like no one even knows what FBI or CIA stand for.
FBI, fat bitch idiots.
I also believe Abraham Lincoln at first liked the idea of the Dark House, so he wasn't killed right away. But over time, he realized his mistake and eventually telegraphed to the Dark House that the deal was off. They probably invited him to that play and popped him.
But what do these presidents do once in the Dark House?
This question is a little harder to answer. We think they use the evil darkness to keep themselves alive forever and are an active force under our country.
I am making it my personal goal to get into the Dark House. I'll do whatever it takes. It's such a cool club.
For the wider public to get in, it seems you have to make eye contact with any president for longer than 1 minute straight.
To help facilitate this process, dark presidents can look out through the portrait's eyes on a dollar bill. If you're lucky, they might be looking at you.
The presidents basically destroy and undermine the efforts of the White House and slowly rip the fabric of our nation physically, politically, and comedically. But it's not funny. All the awful aspects of cities are there no matter what. But the presidents make it all way worse. I constantly sense evil around cities, and that's why I live in a lighthouse.
Have you ever seen the news story of the Great Molasses Flood, where gallons of molasses were spilled and spread out over an entire Boston neighborhood in 1919? Probably Taft.
Oh my gosh. Just being out here, you can see how awful things really are in the city. Like that pothole. All these potholes, but this one is really bad.
I mean, this is a clear health hazard, and the presidents are doing this to undermine our community.
Oh yeah, I was about to say, I think it is Andrew Jackson. Look at it. It just looks like Andrew Jackson. I bet FDR did it actually.
Disappointing, and if you read my book, you would know all about this.
And if you watched my podcast, you would know all about this.
If you knew science, you would understand this.
Oh my gosh, look at all this graffiti.
Oh, you know what? This is probably George Bush.
I heard he paints.
Yeah.
Rough road? Yeah, we know. And after all the evidence you've seen thus far, is that any surprise? I bet the presidents put this here to taunt us.
Oh my gosh, a 5G tower.
Oh my god, I bet Jimmy Carter made these. You ever see those videos of him doing construction?
Oh, you've never been more right.
On January 6th, the day of the insurrection, to get the scoop, I took some pictures. But not to document the event, to figure out what was around and inside the event. Because a dark president was probably involved. Here, you can see a strange tall man among the crowd. That is a red-eyed Andrew Jackson. I'd know him anywhere. But apparently, those people didn't. He almost certainly was a critical factor in this event.
But is it possible that Dark House defectors are among us? Are they you and or me?
On that day, since I was in the area, I organized interviews of several subjects that I could study to see if anyone had a connection to the darkness. And I actually found someone who did. We have here with us today a Dark House aide who helped the dark presidents. Their identity will be fully concealed so that they don't get popped.
So, they would sometimes have wig parties where they got all of us interns together, and everyone, including the presidents, had only a powdered wig on. Usually they would have us perform the play Hamilton, and I was always Washington. One night I got powder all over me from the wig, and then Teddy Roosevelt asked me if he could clean me off. I said, yes, because it's Teddy Roosevelt. Of course I want him to clean me off. But then he threw me a towel and said, clean yourself off.
Stop crying. God, just keep going.
So when I saw Jimmy Carter for the first time,
God, stop.
All right,
no,
we're good.
I can keep going, but I really need to get this off my chest, guys. Are you sure?
After hearing about the Dark House, I stopped talking to my daughter when I found out she was the class president.
Is there some big plan for these dark presidents? What's this all about?
They are clearly planning something, but what? Just think about presidents' expertise.
The only thing that these guys could be working on is one single, massive, evil law.
This is a law that will legally, insurmountably bring significant darkness over the land, and eventually Earth. They're making it so intricate, it would take all of Earth's lawyers working together longer than the time it will take for the dark presidents to complete the law to understand it.
If they finish writing this final law, It's over! We all fall into dark!
You do not understand how dark things will become. They will assume total control. So the question is, what now? Well, listen up. There is evil both here and afoot, and there's only one answer: revolution.
You can go to destroydarkhouse.org and donate to our cause. Every dollar goes toward the development of a that we will use to destroy the Dark House. Send every cent you can. This is crucial.
I don't even care about the Dark House. I just want to build this but is actually an acronym for Build Our Massive.
Given what we know nothing. And every second we don't rebel against the final law, we know less.
At every moment, there is injustice perpetuated by this evil presidential empire right beneath our feet. And not only ours, but everyone's feet across the world. We have to do something.
Every election, the number of presidents in the Dark House goes up, and we just keep voting.
I don't even know how to vote, because I'm so scared of what would happen if I did.
We have to do everything in our power to make the final law less final and the Dark House less dark, because we shed light on it.
I say we build this fucking bomb.
Do you want to wake up to George Washington attacking you with a hatchet? He wouldn't even admit to it. So let's finally destroy him.
We the people need to take back this country, all of us together like a team. We have to make this known to the world, and we have to use this to help the world.
The is the only answer. We shouldn't let the fate of Pompeii, the origins of our country, or the current state of cities dictate our future. The presidents in the Dark House are creating the final law, and it's up to us to topple their regime and replace it with our own. And we do that together.
After hearing about the Dark House, I stopped talking to my daughter when I found out she was the class president. Dumbass.
That bunny right there was probably put here by Ronald Reagan. It's feral.
Result of a war effort, but the result of a team effort.
Donate $10,000 and I can kill everybody in a 10-mile radius.
Yeah, we're already 20 seconds into recording right now.
Yeah, whose fault is that? 25.
Remember, to support our cause, give what you can at destroydarkhouse.org. Thank you, and tell your friends and family.